Good morning children, welcome to my channel. We are studying class 10 civics chapter 1 power sharing. This is the second video. If you have not seen my earlier video on ethnic composition of Belgium and Sri Lanka, it is flashing on the I button. You can visit that. Okay, now in the last video I left you on the topic of ethnic composition of Belgium and Sri Lanka. Today we are going to study the topic that is majoritarianism in Sri Lanka. Before we start with this topic, let me recall you the ethnic composition. We all know that Sri Lanka is our southern neighbor. When Sri Lanka is our southern neighbor, see, there are ethnic composition on the basis of language. Majority of the people in Sri Lanka speak Sinhala as a language and they follow Buddhist culture. And the other people in Sri Lanka were categorized into Sri Lankan Tamils and Indian Tamils, where Sri Lankan Tamils and Indian Tamils belonged to the community of Hindus and Muslims. The 7% Christians living in Sri Lanka were speaking both the languages, that is Tamil and Sinhala. Right, now let us move on to the topic of majoritarianism in Sri Lanka. Majoritarianism in Sri Lanka को समझने से पहले we should take a brief history about Sri Lanka as a country. Now, Sri Lanka got independence in the year 1948, very near. India को 1947 में मिला था, Sri Lanka को 1948 में मिला. Now, it led through the independence struggle. It was ruled by Britishers and earlier Sri Lanka was called as Ceylon. Okay, and the people who contributed in the independence struggle were basically from the majority community, that is from the Sinhala community. That means the maximum contribution came from Sinhala community, and when they made Sri Lanka free with the help of their struggle, the thought of dominating Sri Lanka as a country came into their mind, and they moved on with the thought of dominating Sri Lanka through a policy of majoritarianism. Now, what is majoritarianism? See, majoritarianism is a policy, ऐसी पॉलिसी है जहां पे the people who are living in majority in a country are allowed to rule over the country, and what do? They disregard the needs of minorities. एक छोटा सा एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं हम क्लास का. Imagine you have a games period and your teacher comes in and asks कि कौन सा गेम खेलना है. Now the strength of the class is that 60% of the class are girls and the rest of the 40% are boys. Now boys tend to say कि sir हमें तो football खेलना है, and the girls say कि sir हमें basketball खेलना है. Okay, now when the discussion goes on, the PTI teacher takes the decision over the majority community. Okay, that is to the girls. Now the majority community is ruling the minority community, disregarding their interest. That means girls did not care about the interest of boys and they said we all will play basketball. But the interest of boys was to play football or volleyball or whichever sport they wanted to play. Understood? Are you clear? Now that is called as majoritarianism. Majoritarianism is a policy in which majority community rules over minority community and they do not take care of their belief or their need or their culture. Same happened in Sri Lanka. The policy of majoritarianism was followed by the Sinhala community, and who were in minority in Sri Lanka? They were the Tamilians. Okay, so the whole power of Sinhala community, the domination went on to Tamilians. Now, how did they created such a policy in a country like Sri Lanka? We will see what steps they took to establish the policy of majoritarianism. The first step taken by the Sinhala community was Act of 1956. Act of 1956 was introduced in Sri Lanka, which declared Sinhala as the official language of Sri Lanka. When Sinhala was declared as the official language of Sri Lanka, the Tamilians were forced to give up their language and they were forced to follow Sinhala as the language, as it was the national language of Sri Lanka. The first step through which Sinhala community started dominating the minority community, that is Tamilian. Okay, that is the Act of 1956. The second step taken was the preferential policies. Now what Sinhala community did, while they were dominating, they introduced some preferential policies where they started giving favors specifically to the Sinhala speakers. Favors were given in university admissions and wherever they applied for government jobs. The people, those who speak Sinhala as a language, they were given lot of favors in universities and government jobs, irrespective of Tamilians. Tamilians were not given favors in any of the opportunity which was available in the society. Again, majoritarianism over Tamilian. The third step which was taken by Sinhala community to strengthen the policy of majoritarianism was to foster Buddhism. What do you mean by foster is to protect Buddhism as a language. उन्होंने क्या किया? Buddhism as a religion को उन्होंने protect करने की कोशिश करी. कैसे कोशिश करी? They passed a law. Constitutionally they passed a law that every state will practice the religion of Buddhism and will focus on protecting the religion. Now again, the culture of Tamilians were disregarded. Understood? These were the three steps that were taken by the Sinhala community to establish the policy of majoritarianism in Sri Lanka. Now, इतना सब कुछ कर दिया तो कुछ तो effect होगा ना minority community में. Let us see the effect. Now, imagine the Tamilians who were part of Sri Lanka, they were holding 18% of Sri Lanka's percentage in ethnic composition. They felt alienated यानी उनको लगा कि श्रीलंका अब हमारा नहीं है. They felt that they are being removed from Sri Lanka. They felt alienated. They believed that no political leader of Sinhala community was sensitive towards their culture, because back to back इतने सारे laws introduce हो गए in favor of Sinhala community. They believed कि कोई भी political leader interested ही नहीं है to understand and to actually feel what Tamilians are feeling after all these steps being taken. Okay, now the second effect of these steps was denial of equal rights and discrimination in all ways. The second effect which they felt was they were not given equal political rights. They were not given freedom to choose their language. The Buddhism as a religion was forced upon them. Sinhala as a language was forced upon them, and they were not given equal political right, whether they wanted to take admissions in universities or they wanted to take an opportunity to apply government jobs. They were not given equal opportunities. Now the third effect was relation between Sinhalese and Tamilians started straining. Now there was lot of tension started building between Sinhalas and Tamilians. Obviously, no, because Tamilians were feeling alienated. They felt कि हमारा तो कुछ ध्यान किया ही नहीं गवर्नमेंट ने. Although we also helped in the independence of Sri Lanka, माना कि Sinhalas majority में हैं, but then they should have taken care of Tamilian as a community. अगर हम हमारी कंट्री का एग्जाम्पल लें तो you know India is known for its diversified culture, but the Constituent Assembly who was making the constitution actually kept in mind and thought above the culture, religion and the caste. That is why India adopted secularism. नहीं तो सोचो कितना डिफिकल्ट हो जाता इंडिया के अंदर सरवाइव करना. यहाँ तो सिर्फ 2 ही लैंग्वेजेस हैं. India has many number of languages, ample number of people, different types of culture, different types of religion, but to accommodate them in one single country was a hats off work which was done by a constituent assembly. And see, it is not so easy to do that, to bring peace and harmony in the country. Chalo, come back to the topic again. Relation between Sinhalas and Tamils actually got strained. They lost the ties between them. The Tamilians people were not liking Sinhalese, and Sinhalese were trying to exclude Tamilians from Sri Lanka. Now the fourth effect, what happened was, because Tamilians were frustrated all over, they launched struggle, they launched popular struggles, and when they launched popular struggle, they started demanding a separate state in Sri Lanka, that is Tamil Eelam. Eelam means state. They started demanding from the political leaders that we want a separate state. And when political leaders refused, that led to civil war in Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka was known for its great economic progress, but the civil war which took place in Sri Lanka actually spoiled its economic, social and political progress, and that has brought the economic level of Sri Lanka very down. The civil war ended in the year 2009, killing so many people in both the communities. Understood? Why we are studying this topic is to understand the essence of power sharing. Power sharing is basically accommodating the social diversity. Power sharing could have been practiced between Sinhala speakers and Tamil speakers, but it did not happen because Sinhala wanted to dominate with the policy of majoritarianism. Now this was an example where there was an absence of power sharing, and when there is an absence of power sharing, we can easily see the result, that the result was civil war, which destroyed the economic status of Sri Lanka for the coming years. I hope you have understood the video. Please go through the book. This concept is very important. If you like my video, please share and subscribe my channel. Thank you.